Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Chiefs Day today, Andy, and you may be asking yourself, why would you do the Chiefs so early in the cycle? Well, there's not a lot to really say about these guys, if I'm being honest.
We knew there was one piece of news we were waiting for, and we knew it was coming today.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting a Teams call as we go live, which is classic. But the before kind of getting into the
Are
Chiefs,
they telling? Is it like a company-wide call about not going to Coldplay concerts? Just off limits.
Reviewing our HR policy, or go to Coldplay concert and get a little viral, so that your company gets some shine. No, before getting into the Chiefs, I wanted to give you a little trivia. Did you know that that there is an ignominious streak longer than the Canadians not winning the Stanley Cup? We have not had an English winner of the Claret Jug since 1992. The last English winner of the Open was Nick Faldo in 92. I bring that up because I got to ask you, do you think Harris can do it?
I didn't get the joke. Fucking Lee Westwood, baby.
It's crazy, man.
Lee Westwood was in the mix.
He's in the mix.
60, man. He's not that old. He's probably 50 something, but Lee Westwood's in the mix.
We've had a couple of Northern Irishmen. We've had some Irishmen. We've had a Scot. Have not had an English winner of the
Scott. If we had a Welshman, Darren Clark.
Darren Clark is Northern Irish.
Darren Clark is
Rory's Northern Irish. Padraig Carrington and Shane Lowry were Irish.
Woozy's Welsh.
Woosman is Welsh, but
yes.
I don't think, did he ever win an Open? I don't know.
Don't think so.
Anyway,
Big Ryder Cup guy.
Enjoying the start to the tournament. I think it's still pretty wide open here. Very tough.
Woozy won the Masters.
He was a Masters winner. Ian Woosman was a Masters winner for sure. The Scot that won was Paul Lowry in 1999. He won in a playoff over Justin Leonard and, of course, the Frenchman Jean Van de Velde at Carnoustie. So anyway, let's talk Chiefs. Let's talk football. The Chiefs were the runners up last year, Andy, and I gotta say, given what they had as far as talent on that team, that's kind of flattering them a little that they got to the Super Bowl, even though there's probably a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouth, like, we could have won. We should have won 3. We were right there.
Third, yeah. So there's this strange dichotomy to the 2024 Chiefs where it's like the quietest 2-loss team ever in history, where it's like 15-2. Really? 15-2? I don't remember that. When I first pulled it up, I'm like, really? Because even Monday, when I just was pulling up like the records to look at the Raiders, 15-2, which is, I mean, they were like my third best AFC team. There's cases to make them the fourth best AFC team based on some of the regular season metrics and some of the issues they had. Still, very good team. Obviously, a very good team, and the case can be made that they have been doing this for a couple of years where they can crank things up a little in January if need be. It's a tough place to play. It's a tough team to play. It's a very difficult coaching staff to scheme against. And yes, this is a good point by Patrick, is like, if you bet them, you had a nasty taste in your mouth because it's like, oh my God, they should beat this team by 14. They're going to win by 3 in a game where it's like, never in doubt. They were never going to lose this game, but they were never going to cover this game, where both things feel very true. A lot of those games over the last couple of years, it felt like. And I think that's where you get this weird heuristic about this team is like, are they that good? And then you get to January and it's like, shit, they beat another great team. They beat another good team. They went to another Super Bowl, and they have enough to absolutely I'll say this, even with my rating for the Ravens and my rating for the Bills, this team can absolutely be in the Super Bowl pretty easily. Just because they've done it, they have the experience, and you have a smart enough coaching staff to get it done.
Let's circle back on this in a bit. Let's go through it all and just see what we think. I guess what you're saying is
like 3 straight years
Mahomes wins his 4th title, 3rd in 3 years. Like, is that going to shock me? No, of course not.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like I favor them. I have them as, I clearly have them behind 2 other teams in their conference.
Yeah,
and we bet on somebody else to win the division.
I actually got to tell you, I was a little surprised and had to think hard about when I first did my ratings for the Chiefs. I was like, oh man, this feels low. I was like, so I've made some mistake here. I've done something. I was like, is it really this low? Like I'm not. I was fine. I was against the Chiefs a lot last year, particularly down the stretch, and finally vindicated in the Super Bowl. But I lost a lot of money betting against them on the way there. I'll tell you that much. Wait, who did they play on the way there? I definitely bet the shit out of the Bills and lost that one. Who did the Chiefs play in the? They didn't cover that game that before against the Texans, did they? Or did they cover? I bet the Texans for sure that day. I think they might have lost too. So yeah, I guess I did. I lost twice against the Chiefs before ultimately coming through in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I mean, I guess here's what I want to kind of bring up, Andy. Last year's 15-2 team, which you correctly, kind of eyebrow raised, really 15-2. Their Pythag win was 10.15. which is a difference of 4.84. They overachieved their Pythag win by almost 5. That's kind of wild.
And it's
kind of wild.
Two things. I think that's wild for any other team.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of strangely fine with it when you say
sure,
you have best coach, best quarterback, and best quarterback is up for debate. It's close at the top. There's definitely a competition for best quarterback, and it wasn't a great year for him, just stat wise. If you look at some of the underlying stats, still a very, very good year.
Was off, yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, it does feel like they just have that. Well, I mean, we're smarter than you, we're a little bit better than you, and we can scheme up something and make it happen at the end of these games.
Yeah.
And they're always, I think, not always, but maybe for the next 5 years or however long this regime lasts, they're going to win close games. It's what they do. It's annoying if you're betting against them or if you bet on them to cover a spread that's bigger than 3 at some point. Surely. So they do win close games, but I mean, outperforming your Pythag by that much is fucking egregious for anyone.
It is crazy.
Even this team.
You want to know what though, Andy?
Yeah.
It was such an egregious overachievement that it made me specifically go grab all of the records for the last 10 years and see if this was the biggest. And I'm going to keep you in suspense before we get there. But I was just kind of curious, man, God, it feels like these guys overachieve every year. And you want to give Mahomes credit because he's the guy on the field with the freaking magic wand in his hand. But I think this is more of an Andy Reid stat. With Mahomes as his quarterback, and really since he's been in Kansas City, Andy Reid he has exceeded the Pythag win expectation every single year. Since the Mahomes took over in the 2018 season, they overachieved by 1.3, 0.6, 3.5, 0.8, 2.6, 0.2, and 4.8. Last year was the masterclass of overachievement. So I think it's just good coaching.
Not just Andy Reid.
Spagnuolo. Yeah, sure.
I was going to say it has to be something about Spags because this is a defense that we're worried about every year. Like, oh no, they lost one of their good corners and they got to figure that out. And what's the pass rush going to look like? And in big moments, they had the right shit dialed up repeatedly. And again, we'll touch on this, and it's like the antithesis of last year's Baltimore Ravens. Just how does a team go to the Super Bowl and just not lose coaches? Yeah, that's right. And they've done it a ton. Obviously you're never losing your OC because your OC is your head coach, but Spags obviously retained. They have a kind of a high-end special teams coach too, retained. Everybody's back. They're kind of running it back. They made some moves to help out in some spots. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't have a big swing in ratings from last year to this year.
Okay. So to get to the cut to the chase here, the last 10 years, every team in the NFL.
This is where my mind went, was the Vikings that one year.
A 4.8 overachievement is number one. Number two is the Vikings, winning 13 games.
2 years ago.
Winning 13 games when their Pythag was 8.4. That was amazing. And then no one else has achieved over a delta of 4. Now you're down to 3.5, a couple of 3s. 2 is kind of the most common. The standard deviation and the median you would be surprised to learn is 0. The standard deviation is 1.4, which means the Z-score for the Chiefs exceeding their wins by 4.8 last year is 3.4. This is rare. Is rare, like 1 in a million. So anyway, that's to say, if they exceed their wins by 4.8 again, I will be absolutely blown away. But it also did kind of make me test another hypothesis, though, which is our perception about them winning but not covering correct? And while largely last year was, during the Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes era, they have been favorites on average of 5.7 points in a humongous sample of games. And they are good over that stretch against the spread. Not like bet on them every week good, but like they have a better than 500 record against the spread over that stretch, despite laying 6 points a game, which is amazing. I kind of expected to be like, wow, they make their win total every year and they make it look easy some years, but they don't cover games. Like, this is crazy. It fits all of the kind of preconceived notion that Andy Reid saves the good plays and just beats the bad teams by a little and does the old Milton Berle, however much he has to pull out to win the bet kind of thing. Like, yeah, like that all checks out. But in reality, like they cover. Like, this is not a team that you blindly bet against at all. This is a team that you blindly take the second half under when they're winning. That sample is eye popping.
Sidebar: have you seen that that Saturday Night Live film with J.K. Simmons as Milton Berle?
No.
Oh God, it's got Rachel Sennett. I'm trying to think who. It's like the story of the opening night, but they bring it up. He's great. It's like cameos Milton Berle. You should watch that one. It's on one of the streaming services.
I love that.
Either way, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, and we're kind of in the same spot. It's just we do this every year. It's like there's a Chiefs tax. They're a good team. It just begets itself. It's a snake eating its tail. They win games. They don't cover, but they keep winning. And look at their record. And they'll have to cover eventually. They're just that good, and they keep winning games. Maybe we'll bet on them this week, and that drives the price up. And then the price is probably a little bit high. And like you said, overall big sample, they're covering more than they're not. But last year certainly wasn't. What was the ATS last year?
8-10-2.
Yeah. So I think there's a percent. It feels worse. It was
lopsided though, because over the middle of the season,
bad.
They had a 7-game losing stretch against the spread in the middle of the season as they were winning, which is incredible. So yeah. I don't know. I think I kind of, I think we kind of understand and know who these guys are. They're gonna overachieve their expectation by a bit or by a lot. It's weirdly, what do you call it? Sinusoidal though, which I don't love. Like every year it's like, they just overachieved by a little. Okay, over by a lot. Right. I don't think there's any signal there. I think that's just noise, but it's pretty interesting. I think in general, like they have been the beneficiaries of uneven divisional coaching quarterback situations until now.
There is a whiff of like the Patriots stretch where, yes, people can throw cold water and talk about some of the good Jets teams, and there were some good Dolphins teams in there, but overarching or overall, the big part of that Patriots dynasty, there was some really bad coaches and some bad quarterbacks in division.
Yeah.
You could just, hey, guess what? You win 5 games automatically. at least, maybe 6. And yeah, I mean, there was really tough teams they had to play against. Peyton Manning was in that era. They had to always play against some
Manning, Rivers, Roethlisberger. Yeah, they're.
But it's just such an advantage. It's an advantage to have a division that was just kind of
weaker,
stumbling on their own dicks. Well, I mean, it was a lot of bad roster building, a lot of bad coaching hires by Las Vegas, New England, Oakland, Los Angeles, and then same thing with the Chargers for parts of the.
Yeah,
we saw some bad hires.
The Nathaniel Hackett era is very memorable. I guess where I'm getting at is like, it's not the case this year. You get some grown-ups now. You get some grown-ups in your division, at least in terms of GMs and coaches who look like they have a pulse. They know what they're doing.
And the Raiders.
And the Raiders. Yeah. And you still have the Raiders. Remains to be seen. Spytech looks like he knows what he's doing. But
I think, to your point, the hiring of the GM and the coach there in Las Vegas is like, the adults are here. The roster's just not, at the level of the other teams.
Sure. And I guess where I kind of wonder is like, even with Brady and Belichick in New England, because their final chapter was so successful, right? Beating the Seahawks, coming back against the Falcons, embarrassing Sean McVay and the Rams, right? Like their finale was generally pretty damn successful. And it kind of obscures the fact that the middle of their tenure had plenty of years where they just didn't make it to the Super Bowl, where they just didn't have as good of a team, where the teams didn't have to come through Foxborough, where teams did go to Foxborough and beat them and they weren't invincible anymore. And I do look at sort of the state of things and wonder if that's sort of the chapter we're entering with Reed and Mahomes, where these next handful of years, teams aren't as, no one's like, oh God, we got to go beat these guys. Oh my God. And certainly nobody, I don't think, is just giving them the AFC where, the path goes through Arrowhead anymore. In fact, if the AFC Championship game is in Arrowhead this year, like, wow. You have
somebody got upset because I don't think it's a 1 seed. But this will be, if they win, this will be their 10th straight division title.
Incredible.
And the record does belong to that Patriots dynasty who won 11 over that stretch from 09 to 19. Just no fun if you're a fan of the other teams.
AFC Championship game has been in Arrowhead 6 of the last 7 years.
It's been
often. Is that right?
Often.
That's off the top of my head. I think the Ravens, the year the Chiefs went and beat the Ravens, the year the Ravens beat themselves when the Chiefs were in town, is the only year that I can remember that it wasn't at Arrowhead.
Yeah, the last ones were the last one that wasn't was 2 years ago when it was Chiefs Ravens. Chiefs won that anyway.
Yeah,
that was at M&T. But last year they hosted the Bills. The year prior to the one in Baltimore, that was the good Bengals game where they hosted the Bengals. The year before that, again, it was Bengals 2 years in a row in Arrowhead. The year before that was the Bills game, 38-24. Before that was the Titans. I forgot about that one. Titans Chiefs 2019 in Arrowhead, and then previous was the end of that Patriots run. Patriots win 37-31 in Arrowhead, and then before that it was a shitload of Gillette and Mile High.
Yeah, that sounds right.
With some Heinz thrown in.
Here's kind of the telltale signature aspects of the Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes era that I can tell you. They don't blow games. Like the one AFC Championship game they blew to the Bengals is the clear outlier. Like when this team has a lead, they put it away. They know how to put away games like that. And a big reason why is because Pat Mahomes is unsackable, unless he's playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl last year. Or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl 4 or 5 years ago. Feels like that was a long time ago now. But in general, with a lead, they are able to sustain drives like it is not as hard as it is for every other football team. It is crazy how good they are in that situation. And a ton of it is because of Mahomes' pocket presence, awareness, sneaky mobility, ability to get to the sidelines and really make defenders look stupid, ability to get flags in those moments as he's, the most protected player in sport. And I think ultimately that's nothing's changing that. The other kind of key things about Mahomes is when he broke out, it was a lot of the hitting the home run. A lot of that was because of the weapons he had, in particular Tyreek Hill, to work with, and that teams were just not ready for that. He forced defenses to change the way that they play defense in the NFL. That specifically incentivized a overall change in the way that offenses are now taking advantage of defenses, where they're seeing more light boxes, they're seeing more too high safeties, they are more willing to invest in the run game, more willing to, kind of prioritize running and get away from just relying on the deep pass and the home run play. And it forced specifically the Chiefs into kind of changing their philosophy, where they were more willing to be the dink and dunk team and beat you in different ways and beat you over the middle of the field with Kelsey and, screen game, and not try to take you over the top. And then last year, it felt like they kind of were trying to lead the swing back, where they're like, well, let's get faster. Let's, we'll bring in Worthy. We'll bring in Hollywood Brown.
A bunch of speed.
Yeah, we'll bring in speed. We'll see if we can. We'll see if we can capture the zig when everybody is zagging.
I still think they're doing that.
I'm kind of fascinated. That's what I'm the most excited to see about this team this year, is if that bet will pay off. And I think for that bet to pay off, the offensive line has to be top 10. It can't be what we saw last year, right?
Yeah, I don't have like a great feeling about that yet.
Yeah.
I know they made some moves. I don't have this as a top 10 offensive line right now. Yeah, I don't think you should.
How could you?
No, like that's what I'm saying. Like they
performance last year, grades last year. I don't know how you could.
Well, it felt like the offseason, that was going to be the focus. Like, let's fix the tackles. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. And honestly, neutral. It's a neutral for me, if at best right now. Because it's going to be a competition at the tackle spot, and they lost a very good guard. So I think for the most part, you almost have to make this a slight downgraded offensive line to start. And if it looks good, if the preseason looks good, we can start talking about neutral or a positive. But for now, I'm sketched out by that. And I really don't understand the thesis on offense, but I'm Andy Molitor, and I work as a podcaster, and I write articles and newsletters and bet on golf. Like, I'm not as qualified as the other Andy to say that this is going to work or isn't going to work. So we'll see what happens with the thesis for this offensive identity, I guess, is going to happen. And then real quick, just because I have to do this, as I was pulling up the Wikipedia page, who has given up the most points total in the AFC title games since the merger, when we created it in 1970? 303 points allowed. Conceded 300 points in the title games.
I'm going to guess Pittsburgh Steelers.
You are right. They have been to 16 of them, which is a lot. They've hosted 11.
Oh, my God. And they've gotten roasted a handful of times.
Best win. One more quick. Best winning percentage. Minimum 4.
New England for sure.
It is not.
Really?
Yeah, this one blew my freak. I'll give you a second.
What?
Because this blew my mind.
Minimum 4 is somebody like 4-0, and I'm just blanking.
No,
the Bills.
No,
the Bills.
No, the Bills. The Bills are 4-3.
4-3.
New England is 11-4. That is a 733 win percentage. 2 teams are better than them with at least 4.
What?
One team only has 4, and they are 3-1, and it is the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes.
Okay.
But a team is 800 win percentage.
They've been to 5 and they've won 4.
They have been to 10 and they have won 8. I would have taken me like 6 or 7 guesses. Denver Broncos.
They've been to 8 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm blanking on that.
I was going to say this one is breaking me.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were they
went
5
with Elway and 3 with Manning? Is that right?
They went to
remember
the
they lost.
78. 78, they beat Oakland.
Had one
I would never have thought of that one.
I didn't know that one. I know that LA lost 3 in a row before winning 2, and that Manning went to 2. So that makes sense that there's one other one floating around out there.
Yeah, 86, 87, 89. And then they lost to the Bills once. They went to, 98, 99 they went to. And then you had the a couple other ones with, the Manning one. And then they lost one to the Steelers.
Colts have to have a pretty good record in AFC games, right? They lost the one that I can think of.
They're 3-4.
Oh, really? No.
Yeah, and I think some of that is just they had some way back. They lost to the Steelers. This is one I wouldn't have remembered. The second year the Steelers went, 96.
Don't remember that. That was a Jim Harbaugh game, probably. In division, Jim Harbaugh was probably your Colts quarterback then, right?
That's a wild game. I'm gonna have to go look at that one.
Anyway, back to the task at hand. The other kind of difficult thing I have rating this team, because again, in the spirit of they tend to overperform. Some of the parts is always, what do you call it? The whole ends up being more than the sum of the parts every time with these guys. Yeah. And I think the coaching for the defense is a huge part of that, because these defensive rosters these last handful of years have not been star-studded at all. And yet they get coached up to where you're like, wow, okay, all right, they're getting some damn good production. Outside
1 + 1 = 15 wins. It's
how and so Steve Spagnuolo, hats off to you, Mr. Spags. And honestly, I bet you last year's Chiefs preview was probably a lot of, can you believe Spagnuolo fed Kyle Shanahan his lunch again in the Super Bowl? And I was kind of in the back of my head, anything that I was dreading about the Eagles in the Super Bowl kind of came down to Kellen Moore versus Spagnuolo. Not a great feeling about that. And ultimately it didn't matter because Jalen Hurts just freaking went bananas. But yeah, I think ultimately they are getting by without a lot of talent. And some of that is because they never really have elite draft picks. They're always picking in the 30s. And that's just a consequence of being successful every year. And I think ultimately what Spagnuolo has done to coach these defensive players up shouldn't be ignored either. And so for all these reasons, my numbers are all relatively low. But when we get to coaching and intangibles, I just have to freaking blow it up there, because it's just there's something that I'm not seeing in the players that is ultimately translating to higher quality performance, and we just have to acknowledge it. So,
a quick offseason recap before we get to schedule. Yeah. Then, like you said, coaches were retained. Your big departures were Thuney, the guard he was traded to the Bears. I guess you can say DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know how that signing was ever going to turn out. Samaj Perine is no longer with the team. Justin Reed signed with the Saints. Derek Niati is a Jet. Charles Omenenhu is an Eagle. Justin Watson. Carson Wentz is no longer here, but you've got a Carson Wentz type in Gardner Minshew, who signed a very cheap deal because he's Gardner Minshew. And then I think, some of the big signings were probably Jalen Moore. You signed him to be your left tackle, but you also drafted, we'll kind of hop over to the draft going back and forth, Josh Simmons from Ohio State. They are going to be in a competition. He had an injury last year, but it sounds like it's going to be a competition at tackle. You signed Elijah Mitchell. You signed Christian Fulton, the cornerback, which maybe is a low-key good one. I'm not a big Christian Fulton guy, nor do I have a high rating on him. Good enough. Has had some health issues, has never played a full season, but you have an absolute kind of wild card skeleton key in Trent McDuffie, and having competent outside corners lets you kind of move McDuffie wherever you want. So I think Spags is going to have some fun with that. That's a good signing in my book. And then just a couple other ones, Jerry Tillery, interior line, Robert Tonyan as a your fourth tight end, I guess. Re-signed Hollywood, re-signed Nick Bolton to an extension. Juju remains. Kareem Hunt re-signed. Trace Smith was franchise tagged, your right guard, which I guess there's some continuity in the offensive line. Most of the rest of the draft picks are kind of depth outside of maybe the second round defensive tackle from Tennessee, Omar Norman Lott. He was a really good pass rushing defensive tackle from the inside. He's going to be rotation. He's going to play. You're going to hear his name. He's going to get some sacks. They added Ashton Gillot. I'm gonna go with a soft French on him. Plus he went to Louisville, because I say Louisville with the soft Louis. So Ashton Gillot might be Gillot, who knows? But it's kind of a thin group of defensive end. So he's gonna play. He's gonna be in on passing downs, and then a bunch of special teams help with depth at corner, depth at wide receiver, depth at linebacker, depth at running back. Although Prashad Smith, who was drafted 228th, is not exactly buried on the depth chart. He might be ahead of Elijah Mitchell. He might be behind. He might be your third guy as a 7th round pick. Some people do like him. I don't have a lot of info on him. He was, I named that college. I can't even do it right now. SMU. Man. Wow. SMU running backs always have a soft spot for me because of the one big one. So I don't know. Miss anything on your side for off-season moves?
No. I just want to bellyache for a second. Pro Football Reference is just dragging my computer into hell. Something about this website.
It's using a lot of resources for some reason when you open it.
Anyone watching the stream is probably like, why am I making all of these faces? It had nothing to do with Andy's commentary. I just am like freaking out.
Here's the key, Drew.
Am I frozen? Am I working? What's happening?
Two computers.
I
got the second computer. Boy, that's been key.
That's an interesting call. All right. Well, I do want to make one note. Hats off to all the deep dive listeners who came through with pronunciation help. It turns out that the touchdown scoring defensive tackle from Ole Miss, who's now a Raider, JJ Pegues. That was the one I think we didn't do.
Yeah, we tried 5 or 6. That was not one of them.
Do Pegues. Thank you for the heads up on that.
I'm going to have to at some point now bet some Pegues, like first touchdown or anytime touchdown score at least a couple times, because now he's a deep dive guy.
I love that. That is a great call. Yes, we are JJ Pegues men. All right. It was a very, very quiet off season for these guys. I basically think
I thought it was going to be louder at tackle.
Yeah,
I thought that was going to be it, because if you remember, that's a big takeaway from last year was, hey, let's try to fix tackle by doing different things and throwing different combinations at it. And it just never really happened. I mean, that's kind of been a 2-year problem.
Yeah,
I thought that would be a high priority, since you have basically got the fucking Hope Diamond back there at quarterback.
Yeah,
you can't be having him take extra hits.
Right.
It has to be a priority. And it just didn't seem like it. Although, he said, well, Andy, they used their 1st round pick. It's basically a 2nd round pick. And as much as I like Simmons, he was like, what, the 5th tackle off the board?
You could say their 2 big moves were actually not moves, right? They didn't lose Trey Smith. Although, boy, oh boy, did they give that guard a lot of money for good play.
Yeah, he's a plus.
He's a plus.
He's a plus.
Should you be resetting the market on guard for that? I don't know.
I want a timeout on resetting the market, because I get it. And there was a lot of belly aching, like you're doing, about the moves that the Jets made, especially with Wilson. They said, "Oh my God, you can't. He's not nearly that good. You can't pay him." So much about when you pay a guy.
I didn't hear any of that. People really thought that?
People were mad at how much. Well, he's getting paid. He's getting paid like a top 5 receiver. He's not a top 5 receiver. I understand.
Over the balance of that contract, he'll be top 5 a couple of those years.
That's the thing, is you have to look at where everybody else is in their contracts and what's going to happen. Like, doing it now is perfect, because if you wait a year, it's just going to cost more.
Yeah.
Because
plus, just engendering some good vibes with the players you drafted is nice.
You have to look at it. Do I want him on my team in 3 years? then I should just do it now. I should just do it now because it's always going to get reset by the next guy. And you have to look down the road and like who's in line to get reset and how much money do those teams have.
Mm-hmm.
And are they going to keep him and pay him? And if the answer is yes, then the price tag is just going to go up. Just fucking pay those guys. It's the opposite of Jerry Jones.
Yeah, that's right. That's fair.
But yeah, tagging a guy is expensive. It's not usually the best option.
Yeah, boy, they paid him a big number.
We didn't really mention too that not a new addition, but
Rashee Rice.
Well, no, with the exit, well, him too. We'll get to that in a sec. With the loss of Thuney, you now have the second-year BYU product, Kingsley Suamatea, as your starting left guard next to Jalen Moore or Josh Simmons.
Yeah. No, that's also
not a big negative. He's fine.
Yeah, I thought Thuney was your better of your two guards, though.
Yeah.
You're keeping one and resetting the market with him. The other big addition is you get Rashee Rice presumably back off of ACL and community service or whatever he's got. And just for projections purposes, my current price with the Chiefs heading into the season assumes he will not be with the squad week 1. I'm guessing we're going to learn between now and August. He's 3-4 games, something like that. 3 is a good guess.
This is a weird thought. It feels like they have to give him and Addison just the same, right?
Yes, I would think so.
Whatever one gets, the other one's going to get. I think Rice's was worse by a little bit.
Yeah, shades of gray. Rice's was worse, but you just kind of set the bar. A vehicular offense is 3 games. A domestic violence offense is 6 or whatever.
It's funny too. If you're, why can't I think of his name? We hate his guts. The commish Goodell.
Sure.
I'd be so bored sometimes because it just you can't fuck up. This thing just makes $1 trillion every year. It'd be funny to just do like the NHL does this, and I don't think they're doing it as a bit, but their punishments are.
You can fuck up and collude and get caught.
That's true, but the owners are your bosses,
they did,
and they're not firing you.
Yeah,
the owners don't give a shit as long as they're making money. I'm saying you should give Addison 6 games and Rice 2. Just for no reason, just as a bit, because you can. It's seriously what the NHL does.
Get all the calls, Andy. All the calls.
Can you imagine?
Remember that moment from last year?
No, just
puke on.
You'd have them. Yeah, it'd be great for engagement.
Okay. Yeah, I give their offseason a C. Whatever. Let's look at the schedule.
I downgraded a little because you have Bailey Zappi and Gardner Minshew on the team.
Andy, would you believe it or not that the Chiefs are going to make or break the Survivor contest this year, depending on when you choose to use them, because they feature in both of the must-use standalone windows. The Chiefs are on Thanksgiving, and of course, Circa Survivor, the largest guaranteed prize pool in all of sports handicapping, requires you to pick a Thanksgiving Day game. We will see the Chiefs in Dallas on Thanksgiving, where they right now are expected to be about 6-point favorites. That's a pretty high confidence pick. And if you choose not to use them in that spot and use someone else that day, be it the Lions or the Ravens, then you would be saving them for Christmas, where they play Denver and would likely be 4.5-point favorites at home. Although by the time we get there, could that be a bigger number? Sure. Could be a smaller number, though, depending on how Denver ultimately comes together and grows this year. So very, very, very clear to me, at least, that you cannot touch the Chiefs other than those 2 games. Is that reasonable?
Yeah. No, and it's interesting, and this has come up numerous times already as we've talked about it with our gracious sponsors, Circa Sports and the Circa Survivor and Circa $1,000,007. But that's the fun part about this, and I think they really nailed it, because I want to say the first year a bunch of people split, and even if it was a handful of people, it's not what you want. You want to see the reaction of somebody losing in week 17. You want it down to nobody at the end. So adding Christmas and Thanksgiving, especially now that the NFL was so gracious as to add the Friday game and a few years back added the third Thanksgiving game. So now there's a decent enough where you're not really hamstringing somebody bad, but at the same time, there's always going to be a couple of those games that are like pick'ems, and it's not like a clearly, I'm saving it to use that game. It's I fucked myself into a corner here, and I have to use somebody who's a dog or a pick'em in one of these spots. So, yeah, it's crazy. Like I think a big part of your Survivor strategy, if you enter the big boy Survivor at Circa, is starting on Thanksgiving and Christmas and working backwards from there, because you don't want to have a big, like whatever you want to call who you have left, your portfolio of teams that are left. You don't want to be in a really good shape and be absolutely dicked on Christmas, where it's like, man, I made it this far. I have the perfect team for week 18 and I am screwed on Christmas. Or even earlier when we're talking Thanksgiving, what's that, week 13? That's a spot where probably down to a few dozen people, if you make it that far and you've screwed yourself for Thanksgiving, thanks for your money, I guess. You got a hat.
If you want a hat, you can go to Las Vegas and sign up in person and play from anywhere. Circa Millions 7, Circa Survivor. Biggest guaranteed prize pools in the biz. The Chiefs, Andy, are favored in every single game save one. Week 9 at
Buffalo. What a banger. It's not even a primetime game. I feel bad for the other 4 p.m. games, so Jesus, no one's watching.
There's not going to be another 4 p.m. game that day. Maybe one, it's
during bye week, so maybe maybe it is one of those weeks where there's only 2.
Yeah, there'll be one other trash game like Raiders, Jets, or something. The key I get actually when I squint though is more difficult start and softer landing just based on the tone of the blue in all of their favorite spots. And in fact, there is a whiff of testing these guys aggressively in the first 6 weeks to where if they trip on their dicks at all, we are talking we're talking about Super Bowl hangover. Could be the narrative. If you lose to Philly coming off of that big old trip to LA, that big old trip to Sao Paulo to play the Chargers. Shoot, man, Chargers could beat you. Philly definitely could beat you. You could be looking at 0-2. Baltimore week 4, nasty spot. Detroit week 6. Detroit plays you tough every time. Should have beat you last time they played you. You could very clearly be living in a world where you're 2-4 through 6 weeks, and everybody's like, Super Bowl hangover. Finally hit the Chiefs. They're done. It's over. Good luck. Broncos are the new kings of the West. Whatever. Chargers.
Are we hitting cash out on Broncos at that point?
Yes, probably. Or we're betting on Chiefs after that Broncos game week 11 because look at that freaking down the stretch. 9-point favorites, 6-point favorites, 6-point favorites, 5-point favorites, 7-point favorites, 5-point favorites, 6-point favorites. Holy smokes. What a runway.
So I think we can have both the Chiefs and the Broncos in pocket at 3-1. And then you just kick back and hope Harbaugh doesn't do something silly. I do want a quick note. You were close. I pulled up that week. There are only 2 other games at 3 p.m. for Andy's liking. This is actually a 3:25 game Chiefs Bills, so it's late start. But the Jaguars will head to Las Vegas that day, and the Saints will head to the Rams in a game where I'm assuming they will be 8 to 10 point underdogs. Yeah.
All right.
So you have a blowout and an ugly one that nobody else wants to see as well. So that's the competition for the Buffalo Kansas City CBS game. Wonderful
job, team. Bye week is good for them. I think in general, if they are coming into that week 11 contest at Denver and the mission is clear that they're going to need to win out if they're going to win the West, I think it can be done. And I think ultimately, I'm going to set a reminder for Veterans Day, Andy, to check on Chiefs AFC West prices. 2 reminders.
What day is that?
It's like the 12th, right? November 12th, something like that.
Okay.
the week before they play that game at Denver. And honestly, the beauty of all of this is if they are losing the difficult coin flip games, right? And I'm not saying this will happen, but it's 100% within the scope of possibility that they lose to the Chargers week 1, the Eagles week 2, Baltimore week 4, Detroit week 6, Washington week 8, Buffalo week 9. Like, that is a awesome potential outcome for us because holy shit, are they going to be downgraded in the market to maybe even like a neutral kind of market rating? And then you get an at Denver game where KC could be dogs. And literally it's like, hey, if they win this game, the aggressive flip on how they're going to be priced will be break your neck. And then down the stretch, it's just freaking, wind in your sails. So I think the again, like we let water find its level. We hope that they treat the early part of the season like an extended preseason and that they don't care if they're 1-3. Mahomes gets up there after the Baltimore game and does the RELAX. And
oh god, he's getting to that age. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He's been in the league for a while now.
Yeah. I really hope that this is not like, because the narrative, the other side of this coin, if they win these coin flip games, which they're supposed to by a little, and they win them by a little, and then people are just like, can't bet against Mahomes. Don't bet against Mahomes. Mahomes is a small dog. I'm gonna be sick. I'm done with that. I want
Mahomes. Mahomes is just the S&P 500. Why would you bet against it?
Why would you bet against it?
Stocks go up, buddy.
I do not want to live in that world this year. So
you might be there, so it's fine. I don't have a lot else on the schedule. It's tough. It should be tough. It's a first place schedule, but there are some certified bangers. The Baltimore game, the Buffalo game, those aren't even primetime games. And then we have Monday Night Football versus the Commanders.
God, that one's
for some reason you have a Sunday night game against the Giants, just because the Giants get to be in primetime. That's just how it works. Hopefully Houston is a little bit of a turnaround on offense this year, because that's a really good game later in the season, heading to Arrowhead. We'll see how that offensive line holds up. And then obviously Denver Christmas, absolute screamer. That could be awesome. So some really good games. Like you mentioned, the rest, there's a bunch of rest advantages. Indy off the bye is kind of neutered by the fact that Indy doesn't have a quarterback that's capable of playing football on the roster. And most of the other spots where they're at a big disadvantage for travel is just, I don't know, like the Giants. I'm assuming the Giants have been home for 2 weeks or something. Like there's just not a lot of huge ones as far as travel.
No, it's not bad. It's not a bad travel and rest schedule. It's really just strength of opponent in the first half of the season, which could potentially open up some awesome chaos for us to prey on in November. Let's get to the ratings. Again, I mentioned off the top, I was a little surprised about how low my numbers are.
Is that a rock concert or a leaf blower?
It's a leaf blower. What
sounds like guitar.
Talk me through your QBOC rating. It should be pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I did not change it. This was an 8 to close the season. This is an 8 to start the season. He had a little bit of a down year, but kind of this is a benefit of the doubt number. It's still an elite quarterback.
Yeah, I was 8.5 to close the season, 8.5 to start the season. No real space here between Mahomes and his contemporaries.
Jesus Christ, Patrick. Said Mahomes had both his hands full this offseason. I had to read that one for the podcast. That is a boob joke, Patrick.
What is your
what you want, guys?
Skill position is kind of fun to talk about. Again, I am rating this group without Rashee Rice to start, and I am at 6.5. Where are you?
Oh, 6.25. I couldn't decide between 6 and 6.5. Part of the big question marks are just Travis Kelce is 100 years old, but he still can show up, especially when it matters sometimes. Pacheco and Hunt, I think, is still a good combo. If people are keen on Elijah Mitchell, that's fine. We've seen flashes from him. Like I said, some people like this rookie, Brashad Smith, Noah Gray, Jared Wiley, Robert Tonyan. It's not a terrible tight end room. And then, Rashee Rice is most likely missing games. But it's not like Sky Moore and Juju Smith-Schuster have never played football. They're not good. They shouldn't be your 1. They shouldn't be your 3. But you can do a lot worse. We've talked about some pretty fucking terrible depth charts at wide receiver. We've done it this week.
We've seen it with Pat Mahomes under center.
I'm not excited about Sky Moore. Sky Moore is like the 3rd receiver on 3 or 4 teams we've already talked about this year.
Yeah,
like you could do a lot worse than Juju Smith-Schuster as someone to fill in for a few weeks when you have worthy Hollywood Brown, who, some people love him or hate him, I guess. But if he catches the ball, he's always in a good position. And then, like we mentioned, Travis Kelce's still very good. So it's an above average to great skill position group. When you get Rice back, it's a 6.5. It's right if Rice is in there.
Yeah, no. If Rice is back, I'm probably going to 7-ish. All right. The big question, I guess, real quick on skill, ceiling for Xavier Worthy. Were you a fan of his work last year?
Yeah, I wish. I'm trying to think of the word. I wish he was more versatile.
He graded really well for me in the context of being a rookie. I will say.
Yeah, it's not like he's a one-trick pony, but I think if we see some growth from him, I think it'll be hey, here's a top 15 guy.
Okay. Top 15, you think that's the ceiling?
I think that's a ceiling for this year.
Okay. I feel like if you had a better offensive line, his ceiling's probably higher.
Yeah,
I just don't know if Mahomes is going to have time to really make those home runs come to fruition.
I went back between. This is 4.25.
All right, I'm at 3.5. So we are. God. I don't like this room. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what the strength is here. I really am not. Creed Humphrey.
I had good grades on Smith and Humphrey, and honestly, Jawan Taylor.
Yeah, Creed Humphrey is one of the better centers in the NFL, and after that, it gets real. You got to squint your eyes to convince yourself this is going to work, in my opinion. Never really been a Jawan Taylor guy. You have him as a negative? I have him in neutral. I have him as a neutral too, but I'm not. It's not like he's not raising the rating here. Trey Smith. Again, wasn't super impressed with his work last year. Kingsley Suamatia, okay. I know that he's being asked to do less, kicking from tackle to guard, but he still has to learn to play in the NFL.
I'm bullish on him moving inside. I'm fine with that. So everybody, obviously, if you're saying, hey, do a number just for center, it's like a 6.5. I love Creedom. That's a very good center.
Yes.
And then from there, you have a bunch of. That's where I couldn't go as low as you, because I have a bunch of guys who are below average, but they're not, just turnstiles. It's not awful. So I 4. I could go down to 4, but I don't understand how you're quite this low. I guess maybe just the Jalen Moore. Where do you have him, and who are you actually projecting to?
I guess here's my thing is that I feel like a lot of the credit for solid performance from this unit is really more of a Pat Mahomes story.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Where do you draw your hard lines? Are we just saying this is where these guys are ranking, and it doesn't matter? These numbers shouldn't matter what quarterback and what OC and what coaching staff and what scheme. Or are we trying to put a number together for these teams playing on this roster with this quarterback?
Well, I'm telling you,
I had this number above a 5 at the end of the year. When my raw numbers last year, when I was using some of the metrics I was drawing in, they were always high.
I was 5.5 for them last year.
So here's
to start the season, and I ended up at 3. But yeah, go
When
ahead.
I looked at my metrics, which is a lot of pass block win rate, run, but all that plus I think for offensive line, I pulled in 15 metrics and weighted them how I wanted them, and then tried to normalize it a little and come up with a raw number. My Kansas City number at the end of the year was a 6.5, which is clearly wrong. And that's where I think you're trying to say is they got away with it because of who's coaching and who's playing. So it's still below average for me though.
Okay. Maybe I'm too low. Either way, the synthesis here with Mahomes is 8.5. I'm at a 6. I'm at the 6th best offense in the NFL.
7th for me.
Defense is really tough. Really, really tough. Their EPA per play numbers were not very good last year. They didn't add anyone. They didn't lose anyone. Chris Jones is still elite. As far as I could tell you. I don't think he's necessarily aging curve is going to smash on his head necessarily, but he's getting up there. There's holes. The coaching tends to make a lot of that go away.
If you look at like the run stop numbers, it was a really good run defense, and I can't exactly tell you why.
That's the strength that I have for them.
Yeah, it's a 7. It's a 7 on run.
I'm at a 5.9 for run stop.
I can't get past, like, they didn't really lose anything. They probably added some people up front, and I'm looking at the stats and what they did against the run last year. It was too good to make it any lower. So
okay.
I have this defense higher than I thought I would, and I kind of need you to talk me down.
I'm opposite. So, yeah, I mean, their EPA per play against the run last year was good for 59th percentile. They're good. They're not great.
And that's where I'm trying to.
They barely had to face the run though, because most of the teams they were playing against were at a deficit and they weren't even trying to run. When it was a neutral running situation, they were closer to league average by EPA per rush.
Well, that's where I'm trying to marry the EPA per play with what actually happened. And it's like, yeah, they were kind of this bend but don't break at times, and it worked. So I'll probably lower that a little, but I mean, at the end of the year, it was a 7.
Okay, let's go through the rest here.
I'm gonna go 6.5.
I forgot I have a call way up that I'm gonna be late for,
shit.
But I told them that. So pass rush for me is 5.4. I do think there is growth here. There's certainly potential for growth here. No, I don't know that Karlaftis is ever making an All-Pro team, but playing next to Chris Jones doesn't hurt.
8 sacks.
Yeah.
I couldn't have told you that.
Or do you think that's just sort of where he's at now for the next couple of years?
No, I think that's kind of where I think that if you got that, I think you're happy.
He flashed a little more in the playoffs, which is like sometimes a sign that guys putting it together. So maybe like I'm going to watch Karlaftis specifically on this defensive unit to see what we get out of him this year. You're at a 6, so we're basically in agreement. Coverage was also really tough outside of McDuffie. I kind of don't really see it, honestly.
What's your Jaden Hicks number? Strong safety.
Hicks 6.
Second year guy.
Hicks 6. He only started one game last year, so it's no confidence. I'm expecting a second year 4th round safety, which is not good. Where it's my coverage number is not very good for them. I guess I'm at 5.0. I'm at 5.0. I'm basically this is a very neutral defense.
5.5. And again, like I said, I like the Christian Fulton move because it frees up McDuffie, and I have a good number on Jalen Watson. I think you actually have 3 pretty good corners. I was curious what you'd say about the safeties, because I think that is probably the weakness back there.
I'm sure that's dragging my number down.
You have 1 great corner, 2 good corners, 1 who's a little bit of an injury risk and is coming into a new system, and then weakness at safety. So I'm above average, but if the safety play is better and Fulton fits in right away, this can go up pretty quick.
I had Reed, who's graded better than Cook, and I have Hicks as a pretty decent downgrade from Reed. And I don't really care for Fulton and Watson. How many games did Watson play last year? That's probably why my number for him is a little on the low side. He only played 6 games. I can't remember. Was that an injury or was that a suspension? I don't remember. He only played 6, and he was fine for those 6 games. But yeah, I think that would be a little bit of a surprise. I'm prepared to go up, but right now this is my 15th best defense.
Special teams.
The top half of the NFL by the hair of their chins. I have 8 for special teams. Defense.
Yeah, it's a good special team squad. This is where am I at here? Oh, I had 7.5. Are you lower? You're higher than me. I'm taking mine up to the 8.
Oh, 8. Okay.
the all allegation squad. You got Matt Ariza and Harrison Butker, but they're good, and then good returners as well.
Okay. Coaching, I'm at an 8. Or intangibles, I guess. Intangibles, I'm at an 8, which really is just them getting more out of it.
We're double counting Andy because we have OC as something too, but
Surely.
I like what they do. Obviously, that's an 8. This is my 5th best team.
This is my 7th best team. They are a plus 3.42.
Do you have Green Bay ahead of them?
I do.
And so they are ahead of Green Bay by a whisker. I was going to say a different kind of hair, which is less appropriate.
A mustache hair, an Andy Reid walrus mustache hair.
What was your power number?
3.42.
Wow.
What are you?
4.4.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not as rosy on a team that always seems to be. You're waiting for the tulips to stop getting bought here on this one.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think we were pretty close on offense. I have a much higher rating on the defense than you, and some of that is I like the corners better. I like Karl Loftus with paired with Chris Jones and the interior better. I kind of excited to see what this rookie DT does. And then it's good linebacking core, and the run stop numbers, they might not have to be good again. If you're leading a bunch, it might just be a repeat of 2024. So 4.4. And yeah, if you got to get going, I got to get going.
I kind of don't even know if it's worth kind of covering the odds. I think if you're going to bet anything Chiefs, the writing is very clearly on the wall. Just be patient. Take a deep breath. Wait till November. Wait till they play the Bills and they go on bye, and everybody has finally sold their last stock at a discount, at a loss on this team, and then buy then, or don't buy at all. That's kind of the vibe. You agree?
Yes.
All right. Let everybody have their shot. Let the Super Bowl loss hangover narrative.
It's not a good start to the schedule.
Really sink its teeth in. And then when you're tired of hearing that story, when First Take is finally like, we need to find another headline, then that is the time to buy. Okay. All right, man.
See you guys tomorrow morning. It's the Deep Dive Daily time at 10:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern.
You want to go any earlier? Go earlier. See you.
From the tire swing or the trampoline, I don't know.
Okay. We'll talk about it.
We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Do 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 do.